Okay, we've got 7 people here, and maybe I'll just go ahead and start. Hello, everybody. Glad you could join us. This is a webinar that is brought to you by Donner Party Mountain Runners and Cal Topo. I am a board member of the Donner Party Mountain Runners, and I'm also the wife of the founder of Cal Topo. So I needless to say, use Cal Topo a lot, and luckily I live with somebody who can show me all of the tips and tricks, because there certainly are a lot of things that you can do in Cal Topo. So tonight we're just going to be going over the basic fundamentals, like the intro version, and there's a ton of stuff in there that we're not going to touch on tonight at all. So if you do not need to be a member, obviously, to join this webinar, but if you could sponsor Donner Party Mountain Runners, we would definitely appreciate it. Memberships start at $20 for an individual membership for a year. You can also do a $50 membership that will get you a 3-year membership, or you could do a household membership and get 8 members, or up to 8 members, memberships for 12 months for $35, or 3 years for only $95. And this membership more than pays for itself with race discounts and discounts at Tahoe Mountain Sports, free food, and events like this one. So, and let me once again remind, if there's anyone else that has joined but hasn't logged into Cal Topo, it's going to help a lot if you start an instance of caltopo.com and log in, and I'll show everybody again how you do that. So you go to this Cal Topo website, and you can sign in on the top left over here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now, but before I do, I want to just point out, if you aren't a subscriber to Cal Topo, you will see this upgrade button right here, and that will bring you to details about the different plans. You can, at $20 a year, what that gets you, $50 a year, what that gets you. A lot of stuff is free. But it might be that, my screen is going to look a little bit different than yours if you're not a paid member, and that's what that's all about. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now, because logging in allows you to save your maps. And then, all right, so if you haven't logged in, go ahead and do that for now to help us in the future get a little bit more efficient. So I already mentioned that I'm married to Matt Jacobs, the founder of Cal Topo, and I'm a member of Donner Party Mountain Runners. And I also love to do adventure runs, and in particular solo adventures. And by far and away, Cal Topo makes that possible, really, or at least much more successful. And the other thing is that my husband is on multiple search and rescue teams, and that's actually how the idea of Cal Topo came about, is basically trying to come up with a way to map, to get really, really good maps for searches, and also plan searches, and keep track of teams and all that sort of stuff. So that's where the idea of Cal Topo came from. Basically, it started as a search and rescue software, and then Matt decided that the general public would like it too, and so he made the website. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and show you some basic things that you can do on Cal Topo, and I'm going to go really slowly so you guys can follow along. So we already talked about logging in, which is, logging in happens here. And once you are logged in, if you click on whatever email address you use to log in, it will open up your account where you can access the maps that you've created. So here's, I've got a long list of maps that I've created. You can also access bookmarks, like for example, a map that somebody has shared with you that you've bookmarked, or PDFs that you've created. So you can access everything there, in addition to, you know, your account information. Like if you actually did want to log out, you could log out here and things like that. And the other thing to point out is if you do need help, if you hover over the Cal Topo logo in the top left, this is where you can access help forums, and you know, there's also a guided tour, which is pretty helpful. It you know, shows you what everything is on the screen that you're seeing. So, you know, if the help is a good resource for going back and, you know, things that you might have forgotten, you can find it in there to get help after we're done with this presentation. So the other key thing about using Cal Topo, the basic sort of concept number one, is the idea of layers, which is on the top right. This entire sidebar menu on the right is all about the layers. So the first thing up at the top is what's called your base layer, and you can select between a number of different types of maps. So what I'm using right now is my map builder Topo. It's based upon OpenStreetMaps, and it's one of my favorites to use. Matt took the open source software, and he created this map, which has, you know, for example, color-coded bike lanes, and the other thing that's really nice is private roads and private trails are designated. So like, for example, you can see that this is what I'm looking at right now is the Martis Camp area, and so those roads are all grayed out, and there's some trails. Like, for example, right here, this is a private trail versus the perimeter trail on the south side of Martis Camp is not. So I really like the Map Builder Topo base layer, but there's a number of really cool other ones in here that you can use. Google layers are on here for me, but because Google charges Matt, you cannot, this is one of those sort of paid features. And also same with the satellite imagery. So this, you can see it says live satellites. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these so you can see. The resolution is not as good as Google satellites imagery, but it's basically, you know, live. So you can pick up here is where you can change the settings between the type of satellite, and then also, you know, whether you want the satellite image from 2 days ago, which was really, really cloudy, so you can't see anything, or, you know, 3 days ago, again, very, very cloudy. In the summer, you can usually see things a little bit better, but like, you know, 5 days ago. The cool thing about this is that you can see snow conditions. So as I zoom out, you can see that this year is pretty, you know, blanketed in white. And, you know, but then once you get over to Reno, it's you know, the snow starts to disappear. So in the spring, when you're trying to find dirt and where all the snow is melted out, this is a really awesome tool. You can also, so then after base layers, when you come down here, map overlays are things that you can kind of lay on top of the map. And when you happen to be looking at satellite imagery, the map builder overlay is super cool, because on top of your satellite imagery, you can then overlay all of your roads and trails. So as, you know, you zoom in, you can start seeing, you know, like where the road or trail that you might be interested in is relative to the white, you know, the snow or the dirt, you know, that sort of thing. So as an example, I'm going to go to Reno, Nevada, and there's a satellite imagery, and there's the town. And so you can see like Peavine is up here. These are all the roads at the top of Peavine, and here's the trails at the base of Peavine. So you can see in here that, you know, these trails down low are not going to have too much snow on them right now, but if you did go down there for a run, you would expect to find snow up much higher up. So anyway, if you start playing around in here, there's really tons and tons of fun stuff. But probably the basic thing for just starting out, I would suggest, is to just use Map Builder Topo, unless you happen to be especially fond of, like, for example, the Forest Service maps. Those are the USGS maps that a lot of people, might be more familiar with. If you zoom in, you recognize that's a particular style of the US, sorry, I think I said USGS, USFS, the US Forest Service maps. There's also the scan topos are the USGS maps that you might also be familiar with, the old, sort of the old school USGS maps. I prefer the Map Builder Topo layers for some of the reasons that I already explained. One of the maybe number one reason is because new trails are on there. Because it's open source software, you will be able to see trails that are not even shown on the Forest Service and USGS map. So I'm going to show you, for example, I call this my backyard. This is the Sawtooth area. You can see right here, this is the Sawtooth Trail. And if you guys are familiar with the Sawtooth area, when you go out there for a walk, there's all of these moto trails and use trails that aren't going to be on any map, but it's really helpful to when you're out there, to know where the trails are. And it also, is an opportunity to explore new stuff that you didn't necessarily know existed. So the other thing that's worth pointing out is there's this is kind of helpful for newbies, the preset combinations down here. If you get really confused or overwhelmed by too many choices, you could just really quickly select, like, this is your Map Builder Topo, here's your 7.5 quad maps that I was talking about, the USGS maps, here's your Forest Service maps, here's an aerial map, here's a satellite image with the Map Builder overlay, and you can see as I'm clicking through these the selections up here are changing, whether it's a satellite base layer or whether, there's a Map Builder overlay and all of those sorts of things. So as a newbie, that might make you a little bit more comfortable with instead of trying to sort through, all of the endless options that you have in your map layers. So let's get to it. So let's draw a line. Like, let's say that we want to do a run on the Sawtooth Trail and we want to explore some of these new trails. So I just wanted to zoom in here. Sometimes parking places are noted. In this instance, there isn't a parking place, but I'm going to just show you one of my tricks sometimes is I like to go to my Google satellite layer, and then I can zoom in and I can verify, oh yeah, this looks like a great place to park. So that's really helpful if you're not from the area. So what I'm going to do is show you first how to draw a marker. Like if you want to, make a note of a particular point, like for example, so there's a couple ways to add markers. You can click with your mouse, and this little window will come up and you could say new marker, or you can also go over here. You can go to add new object and then marker. You can do it that way. And when you do that, it'll basically just put the marker right in the middle of your screen. So I definitely prefer to do the mouse option because it'll put the marker where you have your mouse. So I'm going to say new marker, and this is the menu that comes up. So you can call it, parking, and then you can select what you might want it to look like. Like for example, there's all these icons. I'm going to pick a car, and there you go. There's my parking spot is designated on my map. So I'm going to go back to my Map Builder Topo, and this time let's draw a line. So once again, the same menu you might have noticed, you can hit new, and then you can draw a line as well. So when I click on line, one of the things that I want to point out is that you see all of these things became highlighted in little yellow. And the reason for that is because there's a tool to snap to lines on the map so that when you draw a line, it's following that line exactly. And that is changed up here in the snap to menu, where you can say, oh, I don't want to snap to anything. And then it's just going to be freehand drawing, like, for example, click, 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 that kind of a thing. I'm going to undo that. Or you can snap to OSM is OpenStreetMap. So that's the map that we're looking at is based upon OpenStreetMap data. And so you can see that the OpenStreetMap data is, you know, exactly overlapping the lines that we're seeing. But then the other interesting thing that I do sometimes is you can also snap to the data that's on the US Forest Service map. And you can see, you can compare what is on the US Forest Service map versus what's in the OpenStreetMap data. So you can see pretty much the only thing are the roads. And so they don't even have, you know, the trails on the US Forest Service map. So going back to this is what it looks like when you start trying to draw a line. And before I start clicking to draw the line, I'm going to come down here and just type in a label, run. And you can also change settings in here as well. Like, for example, color. So I try not to use red because trails are red on the map. So I like to use purple because it stands out a little bit more. And as well, you can change your line style. So like, for example, if you have an arrowhead, then you will really easily be able to see, oh, I meant to go clockwise versus counterclockwise or something like that. So then you can go ahead and start clicking. So when you click with your mouse, that's what starts the line. So that's the starting point. You can click on your mouse, and then you can see that as you move the mouse, if you are close to that line, the line will follow the trail. And then, you know, once you're at a spot that you like, you know, you click again, and then that sort of sets that first part of your line. So you can zoom out. If you notice, I just went to this you know, button here. It zooms out. You can zoom out and then, you know, kind of continue picking where you want to go. So I'm just going to really quickly sort of just click, click. You go click, and I'm clicking again, and then clicking again to close it. So you double click to end it. You know, you click to start, you click to keep going, click, 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 and then you double click when you're done, and that will set the line. So I wanted to make sure that you guys have a chance to do that for yourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and there is a chat window or a Q&A, I think they call it. Once again, excuse me everybody, because I'm new to this Cal Topo webinar thing. You guys are my first my first webinar. I believe there's a Q&A or a chat window where you guys can ask me questions if you know, give it a shot, and if you have any problems, you can ask me questions. So I wanted to just give you a couple of, you know, like a minute or two to kind of play around and see if and hopefully you can all manage to do that stuff. So go ahead and try drawing a line and placing a marker. Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Thanks, guys. It's odd that I can't actually see what you guys are seeing, or maybe I'm just don't know how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again for you. Let's pretend this is the line that I drew originally. I'm going to show you here. You can access the how to get the profile for this line by, for me, it's a right mouse click will get you this menu, you know, and then you can select profile, or possibly maybe is easier for newbies, maybe is, you know, over here on the left sidebar, this is where that button is that will access the profile just with, you know, a single click. You click on that and it brings up the profile so that you can see where your high point is. And as you go through the profile, excuse me here, as you go through the profile, you can see there's a little dot, you know, as if you were the runner running along the run, and then you can see, oh, here's my high point right here, you know, that kind of thing. And if you do a right, if you hover over your line and do a right, or excuse me, left click, it will tell you, it'll bring up this menu and it will tell you what the mileage is. So right now my run is 3.4 miles. And you can also edit the profile from this menu. So I'm going to show you again, let's say you wanted to extend your line and you know, do a longer run, for example. The way that I do it is by hovering over your line and then doing a right click and then going to, or excuse me, left click. Here is this, it says right here, split. So that's what you're looking for, is the split. And then it will create two lines that you can see now on your left menu over here. There are two lines, and if you hover over them, it kind of gets highlighted. And if you do a left mouse click, you can delete that line. Then, if again, hover over it and do bring up that menu again with the left click, you can extend the line. And just like you're creating a new line, you know, you do your first mouse click and then you can trace along your line and then, you know, keep going. You can trace along wherever you want to go. Click, it will set your route, click, and then coming back to the trailhead, I double click and then it's done. All right, so now when I hover over it and click with my left mouse button, it's now 5 miles, and that's, you know, I decide that that's the run that I want, and I'm good. So before I show you the cool things like what you do once you have your route set and you want to do some navigation in the field, I just want to point out this is a semi-new feature where if you go to your left menu over here, you can select whether or not you want various folders to be visible. So you know, if you turn them off, like for example, if you had a really complicated map and there was tons of stuff in it, you can use folders to organize your map, and then you can turn things off when you want to, say, print a map, or, you know, or just look at certain items on the map. So I'm going to show you and really quickly, I just want to also point out while I'm hovering over this, there's this red text that says save this map. So once you've drawn something, you're going to want to save it before you exit the website, otherwise it will not actually be saved. And again, if you're not logged in, you can't save. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and this is what you see when you save. So you can pick the map name. I'm going to say Bonner Party Mountain Runners and hit save. All right, cool. So now you'll have that map again. Anytime you come back to the website, you're logged in, you click on your email address, it brings up your account, and you can see that this map that I just created is up at the top. Okay, so let's say that you did want to play with folder organization. You can go to this add menu, and once again, this is another way of accessing drawing a marker or drawing a line. You can also, this is where you can add a folder. So I'm going to say, for example, here's a new folder. And now I can move my run line or my markers or whatever. I can move it by clicking on that edit button, and again, accessing the edit button, you can do it a number of different ways. What I just did is by going to this little pencil right here, when I hover over it, you can see it says edit, so you click on that, and then you can change the folder right here. You can move it into your temp runs folder. So that gets to be really, really, really helpful, and if you start doing some big complicated maps. I really appreciate that. Okay, so the way that you would share this map with somebody, you could just simply give them this link. So if you just basically copy this link, you can share your map with somebody else. There are also some extra tools in this collaborate link. So if you hover over this collaborate and press your mouse button, the left mouse click, this is what pops up. So you can actually share this and give somebody else right access to contribute to your map, which is really cool when you're doing a group run, and you're talking about routes and things like that. So if you click on this, you can create a shareable link, which is different than just the website address. This is a special link that you would give to somebody to either read your map or write to your map, so edit it. And then you can also create a password if you want to. So so basically when they try to access your map, they would have to input a password. So okay, now what you do once you've created your route is you want to go for a run, and I'm going to go over 3 different ways that you can do in-field navigation. So one of them is the I'm going to go ahead, and I need to change my screen share really quick. Okay, let's see if I can do this properly this time. Like, thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay, so let's see if I'll figure this out. Okay. Okay. So you should be seeing what the Cal Topo app looks like. And I know I sent out an email to everyone that was that was going to be attending tonight, and mentioned that you can download the Cal Topo app. So if you happen to have the Cal Topo app downloaded on your phone, you can always open that up and follow along. But I just want to show you just introduce you to the map or the app, excuse me, a little bit. So on the top left is your main menu, and this is what it looks like if you go ahead and click on that. And this is where you would access your saved maps. you know, of course you have to be logged in on your phone to the same account that you, you know, that you used on your browser. You can also download layers here for if you're in a place without any service. This is how you would, you know, download the layers that you would need. Now in the top right, that little icon are the layers, meaning the map layers. So when you click on that, this is what opens up, and you can see it kind of looks like the same that it does on your website, the one that's on your computer, where there's a pull down menu up here where you can select your base layer, and then there's some map overlays over here. And I do want to mention, not all of the layers on the computer are on the app. And there's a number of reasons for that. Some of the layers are just too memory intensive. And so it's not really feasible to use a phone to show those really memory intensive layers. So the other thing that you can do with the app is on the bottom left. This is how you can record a track. So that would then create a, you know, like for example, if you wanted to have a GPS track to upload to Strava or something like that, you could do it there. And then on the bottom right, this button right here will find and track your location. So if you want to know where you are on the map, you would click that button there. So the other thing, oops. Oops. Sorry, let me try this again. Okay, I'm going to screen share again. It looks like it just closed. All right. Okay, so that button is find and track your location. And you can also navigate along a route. I know it's hard to see exactly what's going on this map, but there's this dark blue line is a map that I had with a route on it. And as if you have opened a map that has a route on it, you can, click on that line, and then you have these menu options to start navigation. That's another thing that the app can do. Okay, so the other option, if you don't want to use the Cal Topo app, is that you can use this free Avenza app. And what it does is it basically reads PDFs and in particular geospatial PDFs. And what that means is that they are PDFs that have GPS information embedded in the PDF. And so then it can know, based upon your location on your phone, where you are on the map. So I'm going to show you, if you want to play with Avenza, I'm going to show you how to do that. So first, you have to create a PDF in Caltopo. So I'm going to go back to Caltopo and show you how to do that. All right. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to print your PDF. So you want to create a PDF from your map, and you do that from this print menu, and then you select print to PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that now, and this is what it looks like. So there's a box where if you click on this little red dot in the middle and then drag, that allows you to drag the box. So this is your print area. You can also, over here on the left side, you can set your page size and your scale. So if you want really, really, really high resolution, you have to be a paid subscriber if you want to use a really, really big map. But like if I'm doing a really, really, really long run, I have to use a really, really, really big PDF. So like, for example, you know, 36 by 48, you can see here, it's, you know, you can print, you know, this is, if you're going to do a run on the TRT or something, if you're going to do like the entire TRT, you're going to want to have a really big PDF. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and go back to like this 8.5 by 14 is plenty big enough. You can also change the scale. So that's just, you know, you'll end up seeing what type of resolution PDF you have. And the other thing to point out here is I want to highlight right here, you can tell it how long to keep the PDF in your account. So right now the default is always 7 days. If you click on that, you can change it to, you know, 30 days, 90 days, or for whatever. And if you want to be able to access a map for a really long time, and you don't want it to disappear from your account, that's how you do it. So then when you generate, oh, and one last thing, there's an orientation button here. You can go back to a landscape instead of portrait. And so if you're, you know, if portrait works better for this route, but if for some reason you wanted to do landscape, that's how you do it. Okay, so once you're happy with where, you know, the extent of your printing area, the other thing that you can edit if you wanted to, you can actually change your map layers and overlays here. So if you realized after, you know, hitting print that you wanted to change something, you can still do it. And then the last step is this button right here on the left bottom side, generate PDF. So I'm going to click it right now, and then this is what you see. What it does is it creates a PDF, and this is sort of the location of the PDF. You can, in your web address, so you can share this with somebody, or you can also, you know, everybody's your window might look a little bit different, but this is where I can download it. So you can save the PDF to your, you know, computer if you wanted to, and then you can also send it, you know, and like through email or something that way. Then, all right, so now that we have the PDF, and oh, I just wanted to say also, if you guys watching, if you wanted to, you can enter this into Avenza, and you know, then you would be able to actually have this map in your Avenza app on your phone. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. So I'm going to go back to my presentation to be able to show you what that looks like. Okay, so all right, we went through printing. I went ahead and showed that to you. And next step is, this is what the Avenza app looks like. It'll look, you know, you won't have the maps that I have on my Avenza app. Yours will be probably empty. To add a map, you go click on this plus button, and then it will look like something like this. So what you then you tell it that you want to add a map from the web, and then you can enter in the address that we saw, you know, on the web browser when you printed the PDF. So it's always caltopo.com/p/ and then a 4-digit, you know, letter and numbers. So then once you get that typed in, you hit OK, and it will be added to your map. Then you can, when you open it, this is Avenza. When you've opened that map in Avenza, in the top left, this little icon right here in the top left, is how you find and track your location. And it will show you where you are on that map, you know, with a blue dot. Okay, and so then the last step, or the last option, I should say, if you don't want to use Cal Topo app and you don't want to use Avenza, and you happen to have, you know, like a Garmin device or something like that, this is the last thing that I wanted to cover in our take a few minutes to cover it. Let's see. So the first thing you need to do is export a Gpx file from Cal Topo. So instead of printing a PDF, you export a Gpx file. So there's an export menu here, and when you click on that, this menu pops up, and you go to select Gpx right there. After you have selected Gpx, you'll be able to designate by clicking on which shape you want to export and or which marker you want to export. So basically, you know, you want to pick, you know, like if you have a map that has a ton of lines in it, you're probably only going to want to export one of those lines. And so you select which one you want to do, and then you would click on export. And then it will prompt you to save it on your computer. So if you have a Garmin device, you're familiar with the Connect app. That's how Garmin allows you to interact with your device. So what you're seeing now is the Garmin Connect website. And to import that Gpx file that you created, there's this menu on the left. Under the training section, there's a courses right there. So you select courses, and it will bring up this menu here. And then you click on import. It's kind of a little quiet little link right there that you may not have ever noticed or would not necessarily find if you didn't know it was there. So once you hit import, it looks something like this. So you browse your computer to open that Gpx file that you created from Cal Topo, and then once it's loaded, like for example, this image is showing a P-Vine run that I created and imported into Connect. You click on Get Started. It'll ask you to tell it what course type it is, so a trail running versus, you know, a road bike ride or something like that. And then once you select the course type, it'll look like something like this. And one of the things that I always do is it'll say it's untitled. That's what name it will have all the time. You have to edit it using this little pencil right here to rename it. So I always do that. And then you would save your course when it's done. And then if your watch is plugged into your computer, you can use this button right here to send it to your device. But what I usually prefer to do is, it's because I don't want to, I'm too lazy, I don't want to get my cables or whatever. I just go to my my app, my Connect app on my phone, because my watch is Bluetooth. It's connected to my phone via Bluetooth, and you can actually send it that way. So I'll show you that real quick. So this is what the Garmin Connect app looks like on your phone. So if you open the training menu on the top left, that'll have the courses just like it does on the website app. You click on courses, and then it'll look like something like this. You can then select the run that you're interested in sending to your watch. And when it opens that run, there's a, you can send it to the device right here. And then This is, I would like to mention that we're recording this presentation. So if this is going a little bit too fast, because there's a lot of steps, and I know that not necessarily, everyone is not necessarily interested in the Garmin, options. I don't want to spend too much time going really, really slowly through this, but if you come back to the presentation, you can access this information and maybe, pause it and do it at your own pace and review this information. So this is, once it's sent to your phone, or excuse me, once it is sent to your watch, to access the course or to load the course, once you start your activity, which is like, this is everyone, if you have the watch, you're familiar with this menu. You would, start the activity, and then when you start the activity, this little options menu pops up, and you would select the options. Then courses is listed in that options menu. When you select courses, then it shows you all the courses that are loaded on your watch. You select that course, and then you would select do course. And then once you have done that, when you are using your watch, it will show you the line, and you can see that you're following your line and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so we have about 5 more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys, play around with either drawing a line or drawing a marker or opening Cal Topo app or the Avenza app, loading a map on the Avenza app, or whatever you want to do. And if you have any questions, go ahead and add that either in the chat window, or there's also supposed to be a Q&A, and I don't know what it looks like on your screen, how you would access it. But if you have any questions for the last 5 minutes, we will, I'll be here to help you guys. And maybe what I will do is I will screen share and show you that the PDF that we created from, so here. So this address, right here, if you want to enter that into Avenza, that's how you would load that app if you're interested in playing around with that. Okay, everyone. So it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to go help my father or my help my husband take care of my screaming toddler. I just put my email address in the chat window, and if you want to email me if you have any questions or comments. And I apologize for my technical difficulties. And I will also go ahead and email the link. Once we have the recorded version online, I'll go ahead and email you guys the link so that you can rewatch it and review everything that we went over tonight. All right. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining. Good night.